Thank you for staying with us on the Pulse. Now time for the sports. I'm Gary Al Smith. And Premier League football comes to us a bit early today. This week, or this weekend I must say, it is the return of Liverpool and whether they can usurp Manchester City atop the table. They'll be playing Southampton, long called the feeder club for the Reds as well. And so it's going to be intriguing in terms of many of the plot lines. None bigger at the moment than the fact that the man who came from the smaller club, Virgil van Dijk, has become the cornerstone, maybe, of Liverpool's title race. In studio with me is Ori Kwampofo to look at it.
Hi, Gary.
Yes, so how big is this game for Liverpool?
I think every game from now up until the end of the season is probably a very big game for Liverpool. It's probably a final because for now they are out of the FA Cup, they're in the Champions League, but in the Premier League, you know, when you're competing with a side so strong such as Manchester City, you do not want to give them any breathing space, and that's what Liverpool set out to do today. And I'm sure they'll be thanking their stars that they are playing tonight before Manchester City would play, because what saw them surrender their lead at the table was those 3 weeks when they had to play right after Manchester City, and I think that the pressure did get a bit to them and they couldn't handle it, and knowing the result of Manchester City's game got to them a bit. So tonight they go in with a free mind, knowing that we don't need to match Manchester City's results. We don't even know that. We just have to beat Manchester City and we can get advantage on top of the table.
So that's your fixtures. I mean, in the Premier League, there's Southampton, Liverpool today, and then tomorrow there's Newcastle, Crystal Palace. It's a big game, really.
Yeah.
13th versus 14th. Huddersfield, Leicester City. Huddersfield confirmed relegation.
Yeah.
And Bournemouth, Burnley, that should be interesting as well. And Everton playing Arsenal, that will be on Sunday. On Monday, Chelsea versus West Ham. Don't forget that Man City will be in action in the FA Cup against Brighton. So there's that small matter. USA.
Yeah, so I think it's very crucial for Liverpool to win on the night, considering that Manchester City won't be in action for a while because of their responsibilities in the FA Cup. So a win tonight would see at least Liverpool on top of the table for a very long time. And it's always a psychological boost, going on social media, checking the internet, and you seeing that your team are on top. So I think Jurgen Klopp will say to his boys to keep a calm head. Go to Southampton. It wouldn't be easy though, because Southampton, remember, they pulled a shock result against Arsenal, and also against Tottenham Hotspur at the Saints, and it's going to be very tough for Liverpool.
Right, so we can get a preview for Everton versus Arsenal, which is also on Sunday. The top four race is really getting tighter. As they say, it's become a mini league on its own. If you take out Liverpool and Man City, who are obviously fighting for the title, the next four teams could be put in a zone on their own, and it will get as great TV ratings.
To the last four,
Right, so there's that also small matter of Manchester City and Brighton in the FA Cup as well, and this we'll be looking at Watford versus Wolves. FA Cup matters. I mean, on paper, this looks like, whatever is going to happen, Man City is going to win it, yeah?
Yeah, but they do not want to remember what happened about 6-7 years ago against Wigan Athletic at Wembley, where Roberto Martinez pulled a surprise against Manchester City, and he ended up winning the FA Cup, and it was it was the League Cup rather.
It was the League Cup,
yes. And but it still applies in these cup competitions that you cannot underrate any team. You look at a team like Wolves, and they so far knocked out Liverpool and Manchester United. So getting into the final, it would be very tough for Man City. But they can't even look ahead of them because Brighton themselves will pose a threat. And you know that in a cup game, the longer it goes on, the closer it gets to penalties. And whenever it gets to penalties, there's a 50-50 chance no matter what. So there's extra motivation to fight harder for these smaller clubs. They know that they may probably never be here again. So it's more of a case of taking your chance, and that's what gives them that extra ability on the day. So Pep Guardiola, I'm sure, would know this and has aspirations of winning the 4 trophies. So he would also be fighting for that.
He's always saying that he can't win the 4 trophies.
I'm sure, but
he's just
trying to play devil's advocate. I'm sure he knows he wants to win it.
Really?
He really wants to make it.
The last time they played, he says they should forget about it because he can't win all the 4.
Yeah, but you know, he's done the treble, and there's a guy always trying to outdo himself. And to get into the history books, treble and now quadruple, that would be big for him.
Okay, so Watford are also ready to face Wolves in the semi-final of the FA Cup as well. It's pretty interesting to watch. And what makes Wolves so special this season?
What makes them a special case is I saw a table of Wolves and the top 4 teams
this season, and Wolves were 4th in that table out of the top 6 teams. But when it comes to the last 6 teams, they were actually last. So they have a way of getting points from the big guys, but against the really bottom sides, they tend to suffer. So it's been a curious case from Wolves, but I think that they've done enough because you see the amount of money that they spent. It was in the same region as Fulham did. And Fulham are relegated and Wolves are 7th. So
$130 million.
Yeah. So
that region.
Yeah. So crucially, Nuno Espirito Santo has been the difference between a Fulham side and a Wolves side. And I think that he came into the Premier League with a clear strategy from what he used in Championship, playing the 3-back system. The Premier League didn't change him. He persisted and he's got the best out of his boys. And I think there's a very, very good achievement for the whole Wolves team. And Espirito Santo, he's definitely a candidate for manager of the season.
Definitely a candidate for manager of the season as we look at the Premier League and the FA Cup as well. These are games that you can see via our partner SuperSport throughout the weekend also. So that's the sport. Eriko Ampofo, thank you for your time. Tonight, we'll be previewing the Normalization Committee Special Cup and the matches, looking at the key stats ahead of match day 3. I'm Gary L. Smith.